Alright, so when last we left, I was just giving a kind of brief overview for the commands and such. And now we're going to step into the dungeon. The dungeon staircase is this, and you just hit the same symbol as the staircase, the greater than symbol. Or I suppose that would be this thing? No, it would be. Depends if you're talking from left to right. So, this seems like a tame, sheltered place. That's called a level feeling. Every time you go down a floor, or up a floor, it will give you a feeling of how dangerous you think it is. And then later, it will give you kind of the second part of the feeling that tells you how good the loot will be. Another key thing to note in Angband is that levels are randomly generated every time. So if I go down to level 2, and then up to level 1, I don't go up to the same level 1 I left. I go up to a totally new floor, and if I go down to 2, I go to a new level 2. I go up to level 1, I go to a new level 1, etc. So we can look around with L if there's a thing you don't know. There are 2 scores here that are titled Por Uto Corius. We're going to pick them up. So the ID system in Angband is such that, well, for example, go to the object knowledge, and there's a scroll, and we see all of these just have these names. So the same scrolls that are possible exist between games, but within each game they get these random names. So I don't know what scroll this is. I kind of know what scrolls it aren't. It's not going to be one of the really, really powerful ones because I only found it on the first floor. But until I actually physically read the scroll, I don't know what it does. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do it for fun. We're going to hit R to read. We want to save that scroll of recall, but we'll read it. It's a scroll of phased door. Well, what does that do? Well, now we can capital I to inspect and we can read. Randomly teleports us up to 10 squares away. Okay, that's cool. Another thing about Angband is that we hit M to look at our magic. The first thing to know about Angband magic is you need the book. We will need to keep this book of prayers with us the entire game. We cannot cast spells from it unless we have it. So if we ever lose it, all these spells will be uncastable. And you see, the green ones are untried, and the blues we haven't learned yet. You get an experience buff in Angband just for casting a spell you've never cast before, and it can be pretty significant. As you can see on the left here, we are 13 experience points from hitting level 2, and this is we have 128 gold, if you're curious. It costs SP to cast spells, and HP is the thing that you die when you run out of. So we're going to cast Detect Evil. We got 4 experience from it, and we sense no evil creatures. And we're going to cast Cure Light Wounds. We don't actually have any wounds to cure, but it got us all the way. We're only 5 experience away, when before we were 13. Now notice we're out of SP, so we want to rest. That is capital R. And then the asterisk will give you all the HP and SP you need. Ampersand is just as needed, which will basically mean it's kind of like the same as SP and HP, but if you're blind, for example, that runs out over time, but it won't run out for us because, or I'm sorry, it won't run out if you do just the star. The star will only heal you to your HP and SP. The ampersand will let you rest until the blindness is cured. And the rest does interrupt itself if a monster shows up. So you don't need to worry about sleeping and then dying, but it's just don't try to sleep and don't waste your time if you can't get a safe rest off. Another useful thing I forgot to cover in the first video is Shift-C is the character menu, which has some pretty neat stuff. Your stats, your current like armor class and fighting. And then the more important one, you hit right, it's got all these stats. It looks kind of confusing. So basically, these are a bunch of good stats that can happen to you. Stuff, and a couple of bad ones. Stuff like, oh, I resist acid. I resist sound. I have feather falling, so I don't fall the same. I cannot be confused. I am invisible. Or is that C invisible? I think that's invisible. Where's C invis? I don't know. Maybe there's C invis. This is going to bug me more than it should. Free action, I can't be paralyzed. Stuff like that. And you'll notice, in fact, that we have a couple of the pluses. And this A to L is for what item slot the power is coming from. And that is our hero. That's the icon for us. And so if it's in that, it means it's an intrinsic to our character. We have protection from blindness as a dwarf. We have a bonus to tunneling as a dwarf. And we have infravision, which means if there's an invisible creature but it's an invisible warm-blooded creature, we can still see it when it's close enough to us. So, with all that down, we're going to start adventuring. We only need 5 experience at level 2, so that's really nice. It's now time for me to introduce you to my favorite command in Angband. You hit period, and you pick a direction. And how it works is you go until you have to make a decision. So, for example, hit period left. It gets us here, because we could either go to the staircase or not. We hit period down. And notice how we went till we saw the monster. It's either if you see a monster, or if you hit a point you have to make a decision. In this case, we didn't have to make a decision. We would have still kept going in this way. But it stopped us because we saw this monster. We'll go to Sleeping Jackal. We're not very stealthy. You'll see under our stealth it's poor. And it's written in red. Ooh, bad. But let me illustrate one thing I was going to do earlier. If you hit shift, the button to the left of 1 to get the tilde, yeah. If you go to tilde, we now have monster knowledge. We see our first jackal. Hit R to recall. We haven't killed any yet. It's dangerous in a pack. Natural creature found about level 1 and moves at normal speed. It's worth 1 point of experience. So it looks pretty small time. It's level 1, only gives a point of experience. It does have its friend. That's the second part of those level feelings I was mentioning. We feel there may be something worthwhile here. So now if we hit caret F, it will say the whole feeling. This seems like a tame, sheltered place. Easy. Yet there may be something worthwhile here. Decent loot. Obviously the loot isn't going to be amazing. This is first floor. But still, you want to stay around on a floor that says there may be something worthwhile. Try to explore the whole thing. And it's not even going to be dangerous, so best of both worlds. Now the jackals are waking up. We don't really want to fight them all at once. So we're going to try to lure them, but the monsters aren't quite that stupid, where they won't blindly chase us into this choke point. So we kind of want to pick at them a bit. Where we'll go. You can use the arrow keys, but since you can move diagonally, if you want to attack diagonally, you'll generally want to use the numpad. Alternatively, there are sets of keys that you can use. You can bind your own, or you can click, but it's really annoying, so we're not going to. So we kill the jackal, and now, so they can, 2 of them can hit us because they can't hit diagonals, but we'll kill. Okay, there we go, and we leveled up with all that. Our health points look like we got a little weaker than we did because, of course, our max just bumped up. So we'll hit capital G to gain the prayer of bless. We're going to take a nap first. Now, what does bless do? If you want to figure out what it does, you can hit B to browse. Go to the book and see bless. It blesses you for a turn, or 12 plus 1d12 turns, giving you plus 5 AC, plus 10 to hit. So it makes us stronger in combat. That's pretty cool. Maybe next time we get in a fight, we'll use that. So we'll use the period. See, it brings us pretty decently. Oh, there's a comma back there. Black mushrooms. Mushrooms generally have these really kind of extreme effects for the early game. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Generally, I like to get them identified and not just eat them to test them. Oh, hey, there's a icky thing. A white icky thing. So we're going to hit MAC. We bless, and we get that 4 experience for casting a new spell. And we feel righteous, and we righteously beat down the icky thing. Good habit to get into is anytime after you win a fight where you use your magic, you rest. It stopped the rest to let us know the prayer expired, our blessing, and then the rest. So, on the first floor, especially against these enemies that said they're weak, if you've got a basic weapon... Oh, that was a gray mushroom patch. So it confused us. And now the keys were just kind of wandering aimlessly, but we did kill it. But we're down to only 7 HP, so when the confusion ends, we want to go and rest here. What was the rant I was on about? Oh yeah, on the first floor, you can kind of just ram into stuff with your weapon if you're a weapon using class. But, you know, it's kind of nice to talk about all the things we will be doing in more intensive fights. And that last one did get us down to 6. A key thing to note is the Cure Serious Wounds potion also cures blindness and confusion. So if that was a really dangerous situation, I could have drunk that potion, healed up basically to full, and then I would have also been cured of the confusion at least for 1 turn. There's a pair of leather sandals and a flask of oil. Now if we hit W, the wield key, we can see there's this pair of sandals. We're not going to put them on yet though. We know it will give us 1 AC, that's what the 1 means. There's also its bonus, which it could be plus 0 if it's non-magical. It could be a bonus if they're magical, or it could be a minus if it's cursed. And we wanted to wait until we had an idea. Fortunately, you get these things called item feelings. And now we feel that they're magical. If you hit I, we can see, and magical means non-cursed. It means there's a plus something to these sandals. And since they can't be cursed, we can take them off whenever we want. So now we'll put them on. We know it's got an AC of 1, and once we get hit, and the game has a chance to calculate our AC, it will then say you figured out how much more AC you had, you got this benefit. So, that's really neat. And how fast you get a feeling like that depends on your character. Warriors get them obscenely quickly. If something's non-magic, sometimes we'll know with just a single turn of holding it. Whereas mages get it very slowly because they get the true identify spell later. If you're wondering what this is a magma vein with treasure. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean loot, it just means money. But still, we're going to go here and hit capital T and tunnel through. Because we're dwarf, and dwarfs have the bonus to tunneling. We tunnel here and we got 30 pieces of copper. And we knew what was there because we sense ore in the walls. It's neat. We're probably not going to bother every single time we sense money in the walls getting it. We hit a trap here. Surrounded us by gas of scintillating colors, and it confused us, like before. Just the direction keys, they don't correspond to anything anymore. Just you move a random direction every time you try to move. And that's the symbol for trap, that carrot. And now we can walk by it and hit capital D for disarm, and we'll get some experience points for disarming it. Keep in mind there is the danger when you disarm of setting it off again, so don't do it if setting it off again might kill you. But there we were pretty safe. Uh-oh, it touches you. You stand your ground. When it says it touches you, and you don't see anything, that means it's invisible. And unfortunately, it looks like it's a ghost or something that's cold-blooded, so our information intrinsic isn't helping us. But we'll say I just walked from the left. It's probably not there. I'm going to try swinging at the right. Okay, it must be in the walls. So unfortunately, we have no really good way of killing it. Oh, it looks like it was in this door. I just missed it hitting up. Okay, now it feared us. We're too afraid to attack it, but we feel bolder. We're terrified. So something is just... What we're going to do to fight this is we're going to walk into this room, kill this icky thing. We're going to try to lure it out into the open so we can attack it better. I wonder what these scrolls... Maybe that's a scroll of detect invisible. That would be nice. Nope, it was a scroll of treasure detection, so we sense even more ore. And we also can see if there's any items. Yeah, we see there's some copper over here to pick up. There is also capital M gets you the bigger map here, and we can see the magma veins. It looks like the treasure doesn't make it on. Because treasure's more transient. We can tunnel this rubble out of the way, even though we can move diagonally, just to make it easier. You know what? I'm just gonna... What is this guy? So we've been hitting it a couple of times, but then it's been running away. We're gonna just ignore it. We don't want to leave this floor. A lot of times I would if there was just an annoying invisible guy, but we had the feeling there may be something worthwhile here. So we want to stay the course. We want to finish this whole level. And that means dealing with this guy. Okay, now this, you look at this and windy, and suddenly it stops. This game has a lot of secret doors, and magic people can get spells to detect them, but in the meantime, for the rest of us, there's a couple of options. The first is with the S key, and look, we found it by searching. But our searching stat is 23%, so that was pretty lucky. Another thing you can do is if you miss it once, Shift S puts you into search mode, and then every move you make is a search. But searching doubles the time it takes for you to do stuff. Like it takes a turn to walk, turn to search, turn to walk, turn to search. So it will turn it off automatically if you see an enemy, because you wouldn't want to be slowed like that. And you don't want to have it on always, because this game does run on a food clock, where if we run out of food, which we've got 11 right now, not a big issue, you can starve to death, which would be bad. But otherwise, the searching mode is really good if there's an obvious secret door. A third trick is to just tunnel into it and see if you hit a secret door while you're tunneling. For the meantime, let's just be happy we found it. Oh, that white snake. Okay. That's its health bar under there, you can see. Yeah, we don't need to cast Bless or anything. That wasn't that bad. So you can see moving. Since we're about to fight two guys, we've got full SP. We're going to go ahead and just cast our Bless spell. Makes us hit better, makes us have more armor. Kill those two. You can see that period ability, or that command, is helping us a lot. Oh, sweet. We hit level 3. We're going to get 2 new spells. Find traps, doors, and stairs. That's what I was talking about, some spells. When we cast it, we're going to get our 6 experience, and then we're going to get the presence of all this stuff. And then we've learned slow poison, which basically if you're poisoned, actually I'll just let you, B to browse, A, and go right here. It halves the duration of any remaining poison. And as you can see with all those spells casting, we only 9 experience away from our next level up, just by casting the spells that we got. Another thing I'm going to point out, so I'm going to go back to where I came from. Why did I stop here? Alright? Because when you think about it, the period, like there was no command, there's no choice. I should have kept going down the hallway. You'll also notice there's a green line above and below me, and that, look at the bottom left, D trap, green, yellow, green, yellow. This is the limit of my detect trap spell when I cast it. I cast it back in that room, this is as far as it went. It's very dangerous if you cast that spell and then walk into a trap anyway. So what happens is the command, it marks off where your attack spell went, and period movement will stop you, basically saying, hey, you might walk in a trap, wouldn't you rather cast it again? I cast it again, and that line goes away, because now I do know where the traps are in this area. So that's a really useful feature for people with that spell. We know there are no secret doors here, because as long as that D trap is green, the detect secret doors is the same range, like it was the same spell, so it's really cool. We're not going to read ID if there's only one of the scrolls, because we can just sell it then, and there's no point identifying it if we can't use it this run around. In general, I tend to just sell them at the beginning and not read them anyway, just because they're not going to be that good in this early game, but I wanted to demonstrate just the whole idea of use IDing. So you see, we could search for a secret door, but we don't need to waste our time because we cast that spell. Oh, this brown snake is kind of tough. Or I guess we just got kind of unlucky. Hit R, asterisk to sleep. And now you can see that green line. It kind of makes it a little easier to visualize it as a line of how much you've detected traps, and you see it here. So we're going to recast it. There's no secret doors down there. We're going to just keep on our merry way. You pretty much always just want to be walking somewhere you've got it up. Something feared us. This is when that caret P is really useful. Okay, so it was an invisible thing again that touched us and we were terrified. Caret P is really good if something just happened to you. You're like, what was that? Something's terrifying me. One is detect invisible. I believe it was elves that could just do it for free. Actually, I wonder if it's evil, this thing. Aha! It is evil. It's a poltergeist. Now we can figure out our nemesis. We can learn all about it. So we're going to go into the recall menu. Yep, it's evil undead. It moves extremely erratically and quickly. It's worth 8 points of experience for us. It's invisible and cold-blooded. So that's why we can't see with our infravision. It only reveals for one turn, sadly, that detect evil. And it moves very erratically, so we're going to just play kind of a weird game. Alright. Bam! M-A-A. M-A-A. But see, that's the problem with the poltergeist. He's just going to hang out there, so. Yeah, it looks like he just fears us. Doesn't have an attack. If you're wondering what the point of him is, this would actually be really scary if it was in conjunction with another monster. Because when you're afraid, you can't attack anything. You're just too scared. Another message to get to is notice we failed to concentrate hard enough for that detect doors and stairs. All these spells have these failure rates for detect For fine traps, doors, and stairs, it's 17%. For our 3 big bread and butter spells, it is 4%. So you can't rely on spells all the time. They always have a little bit of a chance to fail, and if they're big level spells you just got, sometimes there'll be a lot of a chance to fail. And that's just a thing to keep in mind when you're casting. You'll also notice, do priests only get spells up to 3rd level? Am I going to get 2 more prayers when I level up and that's it? No. Issue is that I need the next level spell book. So it kind of encourages you to start getting at least a bit of money, because the next level tier of spells I get from a new book. But for now I don't want to leave the level, because as I said before, something may be worthwhile here. So we want to kind of skull out this floor, and then we want to go back to town, and we want to get the new level spell book. We're probably going to level up 2 more times before this is over. This is a swarm of rats. Animals will divide in this game to different extents. If you go to the rodents, we'll see it breeds explosively. So you'll have to kill a lot of rats, which is why if you find them, you want to make sure you eradicate them to the best of your abilities. Let's fight more. Oh, we actually got down to 14. I wasn't paying too much attention. I was talking. Those are the kind of lapses in focus that can kill you in roguelikes. And like here, it didn't happen to kill me because the enemies weren't that scary. That's the thing you need to be on the watch for, because that is what kills characters. We're going to get rid of this rubble just so we can go. Oh, we've got a new spell up. Let's remove fear. So if a poltergeist hits us with that fear, we can... I always liked that it's M, magic, A, book of spares, D to cast remove fear. So you got to remove fear, you got to get mad. That always made me laugh. So this looks like a really obvious secret door. We know it isn't because of D-trap, but like if I didn't have that detect hidden stair, I would have tunneled into there. Which takes a long time to tunnel into granite, and normally nothing good will happen of it. But a good thing will happen if, say, you know, the exact secret door there. What was that message? So we feel our cloak is average. Those sandals were +2, by the way, so you get 1 AC from them, and 2 more because they're magical. And just like with the sandals, we feel this cloak, or no, not just like the sandals. We know it's not cursed, we know it's average. But that gives us 1 AC. That's what I meant. Just like the sandals, it's 1 AC. There's no magical benefit, but hey, the 1 base AC still helps, even if it's not magically enchanted like the sandals. So we'll put it on. Now we're going to go... I think there's some stuff down here we have yet to explore. Snakes have been kind of the closest thing to killing us, so I'm going to bless myself. Kill it. Math to make sure there's no secret doors left over here. Have we got this entire right side of this map? It looks like we have. So we just have some exploring to do on the left. I'm not expecting any really dramatic loot when it said something worthwhile maybe here. Oh, this is paralysis like I warned you about. See, it got us paralyzed for like 3 continuous turns. Luckily, we have a decent saving throw, so... Oh, we might be dying instantly here. See, we're just kind of stuck in this paralysis loop. Okay, we got out. Luckily, we have a 49% saving throw, which it's an orange, but that's actually a really good saving throw. And against a lot of enemies, that would have been instant death. Or, not against a lot of enemies. With a lot of characters of 4th level, that would have just killed us, that floating eye right there. Except not a gnome, because gnomes are immune to that paralysis. This is an example of the dangers in the game you need to prepare for. In the future, we'll probably want to avoid fighting floating eyes. We don't always want to be relying on getting those lucky saving throws off. So we're hungry, capital E to eat. We want to save those mushrooms, so we'll eat those food rations. We got 10 more. And you saw the rate we were getting hungry at. Not a big issue. So it looks like we might have explored the whole dungeon, actually. We're going to just keep kind of running around, seeing if we can find nooks and crannies we haven't got to yet. Because none of this loot has really been worthy. Look at the big map, kind of see if there's any ideas. Oh, it's not that comforting. It looks like it might have been those +2 sandals that was the good loot. Which, for the record, those are like really poor level loot, but this is the 1st floor. Generally, I tend to skip right down to the 4th or 5th floor, close to the beginning with anyone but a mage. We gotta kill this worm mask because it's one of those explosive breeders. We don't want it to just sit here and breed. Lice are the worst. Oh, our cloak is damaged. So these worms are covered in acid and it can damage our equipment. Remember how that cloak was 1 plus 0? Now it's 1 minus 1. It in fact does nothing for our AC. We're going to hit T, take it off. Or just leave it on the ground. It's worthless now. Well, we'll take it off first, then we hit D to drop K. You can just drop directly from your equipment too. I probably should have. But I wanted to show the takeoff command. Go tunneling. So yeah, acid can ruin your equipment unless it's got a magical enchantment where it's immune to acid damage. So careful about that. Yeah, it looks like we actually did manage to just clean out this floor. Doing what I'm doing, you don't want to do that too often because hunger, like I'm getting hungry and not getting anything done. But the food clock isn't that important in Angband. Food is very cheap. The issue is more if it's something you forget about. It's not actually a legitimate grievance you should have with the game. Like, it's not legitimately difficult to keep fed. So we're gonna just go up these upstairs. That looks like those are downstairs. I'm gonna go up. Where are the upstairs? Here. No, those are more down. There's the upstairs. So we're gonna go with that next level spellbook. That, as I said before, would be the temple. Oh, Farmer Maggot is going to fight us. Farmer Maggot's kind of interesting. He's what's called a unique. Going to Monster Knowledge, we see him. Uniques are creatures that are named, and they're like consistent between the games who they are. So we'll look at Farmer Maggot here. So this is Zug. He's not a happy hobbit, if you've seen Lord of the Rings. Killing him is worth 0 points of experience. He can moan and moan. That's what lists their attacks. Like the ant we killed, it can bite to attack. Farmer Maggot has no attack. He's kind of just there as a funny annoyance because he has like more than 100 HP. He's very healthy. See? Look how much it takes to attack him. But he just sits and moans. And he drops a single good magic item when you kill him. So yeah, even though he's a good guy in Lord of the Rings, you actually want to always kill Farmer Maggot. He runs away on the home stretch. Don't lose. Don't quit believing. So this is when diagonal movement is good so he doesn't get away from you. And you basically just gotta pin him against the wall. Move diagonally. Ring idiots. A lot of people in town just walk up to you and get killed. It's really weird. We feel a scimitar. If you're wondering why it says we feel, our wooden torch is down to 0 turns. Because it's outside, we get a little bit of vision. Or at least we did when Farmer Maggot was there because he has a torch. But now we're going to hit capital F to refuel our torch. Yeah. Scimitar. And normally I would wait for the item feeling. The scimitar, in fact, is always going to be magic. We're going to hit this beggar with it. Now, it said, well, carrot P it, we do not feel comfortable with this weapon. As a mage, we prefer blunt or blessed weapons. Or not a mage, as a priest. However, we wanted to get the benefit, because see, it's +3, +5. Pretty useful enchantments. We'll capital I examine. We'll hit the backslash to go to the things we're wielding. So, ooh, we don't even know the full extent of this item's powers. Ooh, that sounds really nice, actually. So, that means it's got powers beyond what we know about. We want to sell it, but we only want to sell it when we know its powers. We don't want to use it. Oh, he just stole our prayer book. That was a rogue. He steals your stuff, and until we kill him, we can't cast spells. But luckily, when they steal from you, they'll always stay spawned on the level. So if we had left town, we might have just had to buy a new spell. But oh shit, that's a battle-scarred veteran. He's pretty tough. We're gonna run away. Have a nap. Oh, that veteran is still mad that I hit him. Well, now as an example of a fight against a more difficult opponent, we're going to get Bless down right now. Since it's limited turns, we want to start intercepting. We can hit S or 5 to wait for a turn. Our blessing expired. That's okay. And there. Kill the battle-scarred veteran. So tough. And now we're going to go to the temple. Yeah, the first thing we want, Words of Wisdom. That's the next level spellbook. You can kind of just tell by looking at the pricing tiers. And now we're going to sell this potion, this scroll of Aus Como. It was a scroll of Deep Descent. It says made by day because we could have gotten more for selling it if we had known what it is. But of course we had no way to identify it without reading our only one. We're going to sell that scroll of Phase Door. Sell those scrolls of... Not Word of Recall. No, we're keeping that. Sell our 2 scrolls of Treasure Detection. And now this is kind of a niche trick in Angband. It's a very good one though. So potions work the same way the scrolls do, but for colors. So whereas the scroll is like a scroll of Yerk Griggle Griggleburk, it'll be like a tangerine potion, a puce potion, a red potion. And it's the same thing where the potions are the same between games, but which color matches which potion is random for each game. So this potion of boldness is pretty worthless. All it does is remove fear, which other potions do. We have a spell that removes fear. We don't care. But it's only 10 gold and we've got 246. We're going to buy one. 10 gold, and we're going to sell it back to him. So we only lost 6 gold there, and what did we do? We identified boldness. So the next time, if we ever see a potion of boldness, we won't have to like bring it up and sell it to identify it's a potion of boldness. We'll just know, because when we bought boldness, we also got to see which color it was. It doesn't actually matter now what color it is once we've identified it. If you're like, I want to know what color our boldness one. You can see here that it's like that dark blue. Yeah. But now they'll just, if we find one on the ground, it'll read as a potion of boldness. So we're pretty good on torches and food still. Our next thing, we can get a lot of money. Again, that scimitar we found from Farmer Maggot, it's magically powerful and we don't know the full extent of its powers. What that means is you need a full identify. So to identify weapons, you can use ID, which is what we did there, where you just use it and it gives you the stats. It'll give you its pluses, and it will give you some of its more obvious power-ups. But sometimes items have these kind of more secret power-ups, and you need to identify them. So the identify scroll is really expensive. It's 123. But this is an investment for us. This is hopefully going to get us a lot more money than it costs when we sell that scimitar. And we're going to test that theory quickly. We're going to walk to the weapon shop and say he would give us 509 gold for this scimitar just on merit of what it does. And now we're going to R, G, J. It's a +3/+5 scimitar. It looks like there's no other things to it, unfortunately. It doesn't have any other powers. Are we still going to get just 509? So I guess that actually was an entire waste of our money. It happens. It's still worth quite a fair bit, and we don't want it, so we're going to sell it. Hooray. And now, with our money, what are we going to do? We're going to do that potion trick I mentioned earlier with Cure Light Wounds. And in fact, we're going to buy 2. We're not going to sell these ones because we want Cure Light Wounds. These ones, we're going to just buy. And then, as an example for stashing, in case there's a big, scary monster that does fire damage later on, or they start spawning more commonly at that depth, and we don't have any resist fire, that's when we'd want these. Right now, they're just kind of a waste of slots. So we're going to drop them in our home. We'll have them when we need them. We can sell them if we need them. The mushrooms, you know what? We're going to just eat one of the mushrooms now. We're pretty safe here in town. Nothing really bad's going to happen to us. So that's a mushroom of clear mind. What do those do? We'll inspect them. It clears confusion and hallucination, removes fear, and grants you temporary resistance to confusion. A lot of good stuff. That's why I don't always like to eat ID mushrooms, and I kind of like being a hobbit where you auto-ID mushrooms. But we did it there. Deal with it. So we're going to drop it in our home. So later, if we don't have resistance to confusion, we really want it, that's there. Flasks of oil, those go with lanterns. Instead of lighting with torches, you can get a lantern. And then flasks of oil are lighter weight, and they give more light than a torch, if we find a lantern to wield. But for now, we're going to just leave this at home, see if we find a lantern later. And this is a pretty good set of stuff to have. We've got both of our spell books, 10 rations of food, some potions to heal ourselves. So we've got kind of 500 gold left to spend on stuff we want. And first, we're going to head off to the general store here, get a second scroll of Word of Recall, so we can now make a full round trip without having... So we can go back to the town and not worry about getting enough money to buy another scroll. And occasionally, very rarely, but occasionally, These are out of stock both here and at the alchemists. It's a pretty rare thing to happen, but it happens just enough you should be ready for it. So here at the alchemy shop, we could get another cheap scroll to ID it. Detect Invisible is only 18. Satisfy Hunger is worth 12. And then we're going to just sell them right. Actually, that Detect Invisible would have helped us with that Poltergeist. We're going to keep that around. Well, how long does it last? We'll examine it. Oh, just nearby. So we're going to sell that too. We've got Detect Evil. So, well, we can keep looking around. Maybe go to the armor shop. Is there any sweet armor? There's a +5, +7 shield. That's not bad. You get an L to examine stuff. Let's check out the magic item shop. There's sometimes some cool stuff here. The 4 big books of magic. A Ring of Feather Falling. We'll stop. We're gonna buy this. Feather Falling is really niche. It just if you fall into a pit, you take less damage, which isn't that good of a thing. But we're gonna start wanting to buy ID scrolls by the batch when we start finding magic rings and stuff, because you don't get a feeling on them like you do weapons and armor. You don't get feelings on rings, and a cursed ring you can't take off. So you're gonna really want to use ID scrolls on rings, which means that anytime you can spend a bit of money to ID that ring, that's another type of ring that you don't need to later. In the same way that scrolls have words and potions have colors, rings have the material that they're made out of. And now we're going to go, just for fun, show you some of the stuff at the black market. So here there's a lot of extreme, like potions of brawn. Raises your strength with the spent of random attribute. Potions of speed, which are absurdly powerful. They haste you for 2d10 plus 20. And haste lets you take like 2 attacks to there, 1 almost. There's also what? +6, +5 sword. So cool stuff. Now that potion of speed is pretty expensive, right? It was 225. Can we find that at the alchemists? Alchemist doesn't have it. Maybe it's at the temple. Oh, temple just has boldness. And maybe it's no, nothing here. So sometimes these places will have potions of speed, particularly the alchemist. But right now they don't. So if we wanted speed, we'd have to pay an exorbitant fund. And while I like buying speed, because I hate to waste a speed by drinking it to test it, that's 1 less speed potion than I should have. But that would take basically all of our current funds. We got 294, so we're gonna hold off from buying that. And maybe we can find a good blunt weapon here at the weapon shop. You can hit L to examine. I don't know why L is examine, but it is what it is. Because capital I will just keep working on stuff you've got equipped. But it looks like none of these are blunt weapons, so we're going to just go ahead and buy here an iron helm. Put it on. And that brought our AC up to 10. That's pretty nice. And then maybe, I don't know if shields interfere at all with what we're doing here. Or rather, I don't know if they've messed with spellcasting too much. I think it's a little bit different how the spellcasting works for Divine over Arcane, though. I honestly haven't looked too much into it. I really should. I haven't played a priest in quite a while, actually. I like to play warriors and mages the most. Oh no, we've already got our magic sandals. That would have been bad. Here, I'm going to do some science. I'm going to buy just this cheapo +0 pair of gauntlets instead of the +1s. Just to see. It doesn't look like it interferes with spellcasting. With mages, it does. Your gloved hands feel unsuitable. I think priests are allowed to wear a full set of armor, and it doesn't interfere with them at all. But that's all the armor I'm going to buy for now, because hopefully we'll find some magic stuff later in the dungeon. And I want to have a little bit of a nest egg of gold left. I think I'm going to end the video here. I hope that was a good kind of basic, what it's like to go into a floor, fight a bit, go out. If you have any questions, if something popped up in this video you don't understand, please let me know in the comments or something, and hopefully I'll get to it in my next video. Thank you.